Hey, welcome to Kitchen All Over the World. On today's episode, I'm going to try to make Fah Fah soup from Djibouti. Alright, so I've got a nice big soup pot. I'm going to put it on medium-high heat. Can't see the flame in these lights, but I'm going to guess because I kind of know my stove at this point. And let's bring that to, it's probably good. I've got about 1.5 pounds of lamb here that's going to go in, and I'm just going to brown it. Just going to do a quick brown. Don't really want it to cook too much because it's going to be cooking for a long time in the soup itself. Now I've got a couple of onions that have been chopped pretty largely. I want to keep everything fairly the same size, just so that you get a similar bite of everything, you know, in each bite. I've got a couple of leeks that I chopped up. Hope this pot is big enough because I don't have a bigger one. I really should get one, but whatever. It's definitely not going to be big enough because here it comes the cabbage. That is half of a cabbage. Maybe I'll go with a little bit less just to make things the right volume, whatnot. Potatoes. These are 2 tomatoes that have been cubed up, green pepper. So I'm actually gonna transfer like half of this to, this is already turning into a mess. Hopefully we end up with proper results, but I'm gonna try and dig up like laterally half of what's in here. Get 2 pots going of equal size with hopefully equal ingredients. All right, let's bring that back one up to, all right. So now that those are all in there and starting to cook a little bit, I'm gonna cover them up with some water. Just wanna start to be able to see the water at the surface, which you can. Now that that is all sorted out, and they do look pretty equal in terms of the amounts of everything that's in each of them. We're gonna bring it to a simmer, both of them, for 20 minutes until the meat is starting to get a little cooked. Now that I have more space, I'm gonna throw a little bit more of the cabbage in because it did call for half of a head of cabbage. I don't know what size cabbages they have in Djibouti. So after 20 minutes, I'm gonna add in a couple cloves of garlic. So, this is such a pain in the ass. Half there, half there. And I've got a bunch of cilantro, or coriander, depending what part of the world you're in. So half goes in there and half goes in there. This looks really good. Even though so far it's like, it's a lot of ingredients, but it's very simple ingredients in terms of flavors. So I'm curious how those will all lend themselves to this dish. Could use a bit of salt. And as you guys know, I love me some black pepper. And I'm gonna cover both of these guys up because there's 2 of them for whatever reason, for an hour. And then it'll be ready. So simple 1 pot, or in this case 2 pot dish. And we'll see you after the break. So if you've been with me for a while watching my previous episodes, you may have seen the episode called Doro Wat, Ethiopian cuisine. Most of the comments in that video deal with the fact that I did not make injera bread, which is the traditional Ethiopian / Horn of Africa staple bread that you use as the same way you'd use naan bread in Indian cooking. So because of that, I'll be making injera. So if you're not familiar, injera bread is a sourdough pancake, essentially. So what you'll need is 1-to-1 ratio of teff flour. I have no idea what teff is. It's a grain of some sort that they grind up. So 1 part that, 1 part water, and a little bit of your usual baker's yeast, instant rise. You mix it all together, throw it in a tub for ideally 2 days. I only had, I guess at this point it's probably a day and a half, but it already smells so stinky and so fermented, which is the point. So let's make up some pancakes and we'll be able to scoop up our meal. All right, so I got my pot, pan, whatever you call this thing, griddle, over medium-high heat. And you don't want any oil on here for some reason. That's what I've been told. And I'm gonna take a half a cup at a time. Maybe a little less because this pan is not as big as the surfaces that they actually use in the Horn of Africa. Maybe a little more. Let's see. All right, so we only want to cook this for a minimal amount of time, 30 seconds, and you'll start seeing bubbles forming immediately. Immediately. Maybe that's not high enough. This is like, you ever make pancakes at home and the first one is always takes a little bit longer than the others and not quite as good looking. I think that's gonna be the situation here. It's been 30 seconds. Let's throw a lid on it and lower the heat for another 45 seconds. Let's take a look at that. All right. Throw that off to the side to cool down. All right, so nice and thin. And the lid goes on. It's really hard to fit my whole head and the food in one shot, but whatever. All right, this looks, oh my God, it smells so good. This actually, the injera, is almost overpowering the whole thing. So it's hard to get a good whiff of what's going on in here. But before, the room smelled the same as when I was cooking the gourmet sabzi from Persia. Mostly, I think, because of the amount of parsley that was in there, as well as the lamb. First, I'm going to take a bite of meat and veg combo. Really comforting, comfort food. Comfortable. The lamb has just disintegrated. After an hour and a half, it's just like shredded and all of its flavor has gotten into the broth. Next up, we've got the injera. And like I said, the smell is very formidable, very overpowering almost. This smells like the yeast has just gone to work and it's funky. It's funky. And that's what I've heard before, is that injera is almost an acquired taste because it's so sour. It tastes just like it smells. It's got a lot of yeasty flavor, but it doesn't taste like, if you've ever tried to make bread or pizza and undercooked it, the raw yeast flavor, it doesn't have that. But you get an idea of what yeast tastes like, and it's very sour. I feel like this is going to be one of those things where when you're actually eating it, you're like, it's unique, it's weird. but later on I'm gonna be like, damn, I really miss that injera flavor, because it's very unique. So I'm gonna try and eat this the way that you're supposed to eat it. The cilantro that's in the soup actually holds up pretty well against the funkiness of the yeast in this bread. So it actually is kind of a good combination. So whereas some cultures would use vinegar to create a certain acidity, this injera is bringing its own kind of acidity to the table. Interesting, but delicious nonetheless. So make this. Remember, if your soup's not from Djibouti, then I don't know, it's not a fully formed